Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1686 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Yes, we are open. An award-winning podcast from Monaris, hosted by FOTM Al Grego. Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. Join me on May 11th. That's this Sunday at Christie Pitts at 1:30 p.m. beyond the left field fence. Sato becomes the first woman in our country to pitch against a professional men's team. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. Building Toronto Skyline, a podcast and book from Nick Iones, sponsored by Fusion Corp Construction Management, Inc., and Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Joining me today, returning to Toronto Mic'd to kick out the jams, it's Randi Druzin. How you doing, Randi?
I'm doing well. How are you?
If this were the CBC, let's pretend this is Metro Morning, okay, and I am David Common, who's also an FOTM like yourself. Would you have been 11 minutes late for your on-air appearance? I want the truth.
Probably
11:07.
So maybe 2 minutes earlier than I actually arrived.
Randi, this is a professional operation. It was 10 minutes late. I'm like, where is Randy River, but we did that during your first appearance.
I don't mind the nickname.
Stuck in traffic? Is that the excuse we're going to go with here?
It's not just an excuse. It's real. Anyone in Toronto would know what I just went through on the way here on the Gardiner Expressway.
Well, hey, you came here because you knew you'd leave with fresh craft beer from Great Lakes Brewery. I have a lasagna in my freezer from Palma Pasta, and I have a wireless speaker for you from Monaris, so you can listen to Season 8 of Yes, We Are Open, which is an award-winning podcast from Al Grego. That's why you came.
That's exactly why I came. And I have to tell you, I did take the lasagna to a family event, and it was a big hit.
You know, you act surprised. Would I endorse pasta that was less than stellar? It is delicious. I got a call from Dave Charles. He's a radio guy who helped start Q107. By the way, this is a jam kicking, a good old-fashioned jam kicking. And I just want to tell the Q107 listeners, they're going to be very happy with your jams.
I love the jams I chose, and I chose them because I knew you would love them too.
Well, these are going to be a big hit with the Q107 audience. But back to Dave Charles real quick. He phones me yesterday. You know, when Dave Charles phones you, you accept the charges. And he says, Mike, I just want you to know I'm here with my wife, Rita, and we're at Palma's Kitchen, and I only go to Palma Pasta because they support your show. This is a phone call I got yesterday.
I wouldn't go there for that reason. I'd go there because the lasagna is excellent.
Well, the lasagna is excellent. Okay, you're good at this. Okay, we're going to get to the jams right away. But by the way, one more gift because you got stuck in traffic here. Romantic Traffic, right?
I don't like that song.
Okay, tell me why you don't like Romantic Traffic. And while you tell me, I'm going to find it. In fact, if I just vamp a little bit longer here. Randi, why don't you like Romantic Traffic?
See my face? See my eyes rolling back in my head?
Yeah, you look like you're about to be at Ridley Funeral Home.
Boring.
This song is boring. So you need, and again, don't spoil your jams. We're going to get to them, but this lacks a certain...
oomph.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going through your jams, and we're going to get to them right away, and then we'll talk goaltending and hockey and all these other things along the way. But, like, I'm listening to your jams. They all sound like they could be played before the anthems at a playoff hockey game. Like, they're all big.
Even including the last few choices?
Okay. So I'm going backwards, okay? This is an on-air meeting, but you number them 1 to 10. I'm starting with 10. Should I start at 1?
I'm fine either way. I love them all the same.
Like, do I close with the heavy, big rock thing? Or do I close with the not rocky, kind of disco-y thing.
I say go out with a bang, end on a big rock tune.
Okay. But if you had a message for the people who wrote Romantic Traffic, I'm going to bring this down. Let's hear it, because I will play this for Rob Pruce when he drops by for toast. Please give a message to the writers of Romantic Traffic.
More cowbell.
You got to have more cowbell.
Always.
Always. Okay. So, did I give you the measuring tape from Ridley Funeral Home?
I believe you did.
Okay, you got the measuring tape from Ridley Funeral Home. So, if it's okay with you, I'm going to bring down the song you hate, Romantic Traffic, and we're going to kick this off. And again, this gets heavier as we proceed. But we're going to start with the jams. We're going to talk about the jams, and we'll catch up between the jams. I'm very happy to see you. Do you remember your first appearance?
My first appearance here?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was fun. I was here with Todd.
Todd. Okay, and Todd Deneau, who is not with you today. And is it fair to say you brought Todd with you on March 7th, 2024, because you felt, who's this guy in his basement? I need some protection.
I think it was because I was having car trouble, actually.
Ah.
I know Taekwondo, so I'm not really afraid of you.
Okay, I just saw the most recent episode of The Last of Us. Did you watch this HBO show?
Oh, yeah, I do. And I was
Are you caught up? We're not going to spoil anything, but are you
I
caught
am
up?
caught. Well, I didn't watch the one this past Sunday.
Okay, and you're not caught
But
up.
until then, I was caught up. I saw the one. I don't want to.
Okay, don't spoil it. But,
I don't want to spoil
But my
it.
point is, you see like
After the
smaller
second
people
episode,
beating
yeah.
up bigger people.
Yes.
Because they seem to be trained in some kind of arts. You're telling me you could take, even though I have many pounds on you and I have very strong legs from cycling, you're telling me you can take me because you have this Taekwondo.
I'm fast like lightning. So I think I'd throw you off your game very quickly.
I have a camera here. We're on the live stream, live.torontomike.com. Would you fight me right now? Don't answer
No,
that,
because I
okay.
have to go to work later. I don't want any bruises.
And are you able to share where you work, Randy, and remind us?
I work at the CBC.
You work at the CBC, and you, as we established off the top, you would not have been 11 minutes late for the CBC because you would have thought, okay, just in case I hit traffic, you would work that into your commute time.
Oh, I've got you there. I actually walk to work because I live so close to the building.
Okay, you got me there. Okay, I'm sorry that I haven't, I'm not walking distance for you here. Okay, by the way, the first visit of Randy and Todd Deneau, hello to Todd if he's listening at home in Coburg.
Yes, that's right.
Remind me, is that the one of the Big Apple? Or is that
I think
Coburg?
it's just before the Big Apple. I think if you go, 10 minutes further, you'll end up where the Big Apple is.
No, how you like them apples, Todd? Okay, March 7, 2024, so a little over a year ago, it was episode 1447, and we chatted about your career in sports media. We're going to catch up on a lot of this between the songs. We talked about the greatest goaltenders of all time, and we talked about a band, but I'm not going to name the band because they're the number one song. We'll talk about this band, this secret band, if you didn't hear episode 1447. We'll talk about them when we get to your first jam. But just to remind people before I hit play, the two books I'm excited that you wrote are Behind the Mask, which is a sequel to Between the Pipes, right?
That's correct.
So there is especially in Toronto, which is the only place I care about, there's big goaltending news, and we will discuss all of this. Are you ready to kick out the jams?
I am.
At first I was afraid, I was petrified. Kept thinking I could never live without you by my side. But then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong. And I grew strong, and I learned how to get along. And so you're back from outer space. I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. I should have changed that stupid lock. I should have made you leave your key. If I'd have known for just 1 second you'd be back to bother me. Go on now, go. Walk out the door. Just turn around now. 'Cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to hurt me with goodbye? Did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to live, and I've got all my love to give, and I'll survive. I will survive. Hey, hey.
Randy, I set this up by saying the Q listeners are going to love these jams, and we started with a jam that is not played on Q107 as far as I know, but tell us about this jam. Why do you love it? Why'd you pick it?
Well, this song makes me feel like moving. It has since the first time I saw it. How can you listen to that song and not want to shake your booty? It's impossible. It's also gotten me through, 6 or 7 breakups. So that helps as well.
These are romantic breakups?
Oh, yeah. But I think...
Are you currently attached?
Quasi-attached.
That means you have a friend with benefits.
That means I have a situationship.
This is complicated, right? So you're with somebody, but are you willing to share what makes it complicated? Or is that too private?
No, I think relationships in general are complicated. Male-female relationships, romantic relationships of any kind. And I think anyone who's gone through a breakup, I think the song will resonate with them. And also, I think Anthony Stolars might be listening to this song today.
Let's do that right now while Gloria Gaynor's in the background. By the way, I think this is a great song, and I'm glad you chose it. And of course, it's your songs. I don't have a say in the matter. But I got to say, the Cake version is the version that I would hear all the time on the radio. Do you know the Cake cover?
I don't think I've heard the Cake cover.
Big hit. Like I Will Survive by Cake. Big hit. And I think a lot of stupid Gen Xers like me kind of learned this song through Cake. But we're stupid, okay? You don't want to date stupid Gen Xers. But do you have an age range?
I am a stupid Gen Xer.
No. But what age range? I figured you were dating the millennials. What do I know? What age range do you prefer for a date? Like if you were unattached and you were going to meet somebody for, let's say, a coffee to see if there's any chemistry, do you care about age?
Yeah, I like to go somewhere between 15 and 19. Is that wrong?
You're joking, right?
I am joking, yes.
There's songs about that, but it's usually the other gender.
I'd say 40s, 50s generally.
Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm in that range. Okay. If I wasn't attached, I would let you beat me up and then we'd go for coffee. But no, I would take you to Great Lakes Brewery for a fresh craft beer. Last night, I've watched every minute so far of Maple Leaf playoff hockey. I love my Leafs and I love the playoffs. Who doesn't, right? You're watching?
Oh, yeah. Every game.
Do you just focus on the goaltenders, or you have like a tunnel vision for how the goalie's doing?
No, I do focus on the goaltenders more so than the other players, but I do take in the game, holistically like everyone else does.
What do we know at this moment? So I need to timestamp it because for all I know, in 20 minutes, the Leafs will issue some detailed statement of what's going on. But at 11:24 a.m., and I haven't checked the, you were late, but I haven't checked the internet in about a half an hour. What do we know about the status of Maple Leaf goaltender Anthony Stolars?
I don't know. I checked this morning. I didn't see any updates. I just know that he went to the hospital for examination and assessment, and that the NHL is probably being pressured to, lay some kind of suspension on Bennett. But other than that,
what did
I
you
don't
think?
know much.
So, did he put out an elbow, or what did he do? He skated by Stolars and elbowed him in the head. Is that what he did?
I think from my perspective, I thought he skated by Stolars and kind of did elbow him in the head. I don't know if it was incidental, but I think if you look at his
But he's a repeat
background,
offender, right?
I was going to say, when you go to court and they're sentencing you, they look at your previous record.
Look me in the eyes, right? Okay, Randy.
That's
Would
right.
you date Sam Bennett?
No.
So if he says, Randy, I want
Only
coffee.
if you let me beat him up.
Okay, well,
Or elbow him in the head over coffee.
I like the way you roll here. Okay, so I have more. I'm actually going to get to this next jam because then this next jam I think is the final Randy jam that's not in the Q realm. Okay, so all the other songs are these like big rock and numbers that you would hear on Q107, for example, except this next one. So let's do this one. We'll get back to all the above. I want to chat you up, but let's get to another jam here.
What are you looking at?
We should be talking up this intro, Randy.
You missed me. I was just voguing.
Were you? Oh, luckily I'm recording that video. I'm going to watch it tonight on the big screen.
Strike the pose. Strike the pose.
I'll bring it back, but were you ever blonde?
No, but I was dared to go blonde once, and I chickened out.
Was that during the Blonde Ambition tour?
It was around that time, but I have dark eyebrows, so I don't think it would have. It wouldn't have been a good look for me.
All right, Randy, tell me why you chose Vogue from Madonna.
Because it's probably my favorite dance song of all time. And here's a secret. I like to rock. I also like to dance. And that is an amazing dance song.
I'm not going to argue that, but you're 80-20 split there in your jam kicking here today. I'm spoiler alert, 80 rock and rollers and 20% of your jams are dancey numbers like this.
But you know, there's a through line between all those songs, and that is they make you want to move. Whether you're banging your head or shaking your tush, it makes you want to move. All the music that I chose makes you want to move.
Okay, are you a active, not sexually active, are you a physically active person? Like, do you
Oh yeah.
What's your go-to physical activity?
Well, I play squash.
Okay.
I play softball. And in the past, I've played hockey. Hopefully, I'll take it up again next winter because I just coached a team of 7-year-olds and realized I kind of miss being on the ice.
Has your softball league started up yet?
No, it's starting the end of May, and it's the CBC Softball League.
Oh.
And we're often short male players.
Is that
Just
right?
saying,
Because
Mike,
when
you
I played for Slow Pitch for 15 years.
Well,
And I used to coach another team that was less competitive, and my problem was fulfilling the female requirement. I always struggled because, depending on the league, we had a league where it was you needed 4 women players, and then we switched to a league of 3. And it was still, sometimes I'd be looking like, hey, any woman out there, do you play slow pitch? We need a player. But you're telling me you're short guys.
yeah,
I'd
sometimes
play for
we
the
are.
CBC team.
Would you?
Yeah.
No, really?
Where-
Well, then
what part of the world do you play in?
We play in, sometimes we play at Sororan Park,
Yeah.
and then we often play at Riverdale. You know where that is, right
That's
off
a
the DVP.
longer bike ride, but I did that for Jim Cuddy. Okay, I would make that trip, but Saran Park
Right
is nothing.
near Jim Cuddy, not too far from where he lives.
Okay, does he play with you guys? He's a hockey guy.
No, he doesn't, but I think he'd make a good right fielder.
I bet you know what? I think he's more of a lefty. Put him in. Oh, I want to talk back. We're going to get back to hockey, talk goaltenders, especially as the playoffs are underway here. But other than the fact this makes you move, like, were you a big Madonna fan? And I'm thinking, like, in high school, was Madonna like?
Oh yeah, Madonna was huge, and I think people have forgotten that, and young people now don't really know how big she really was in the 80s and 90s.
Massive. I would say pound for pound in terms of hits. Second place maybe Michael Jackson, but Madonna's won, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Just so many hits.
Yeah, and I think her hits extend over a greater time period than Michael Jackson's did. I mean, Madonna's still out there. I don't know when she had her
Michael
last
starts
hit,
very early.
but he was with the Jackson 5. That doesn't count.
But off the wall, like you're in the late 70s.
Yeah,
but,
I think
you're
that
right,
was
because when is Holiday? Is that
I
like
think that was like
early
83, 82, 83, around there.
Randy, you're talking me into this. But yeah, without a doubt, Madonna, hit-laden artist. I once on a Toast, actually, aforementioned Toast, I was talking about her Immaculate Collection.
I have that CD.
Many have that. All Gen X women have that CD. Okay, that's like the law. But she actually had so many hits. She left #1 Billboard Hot 100 hits off of her Immaculate Collection. One that pops into my mind is the Who's That Girl? Who's That Girl went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and didn't make the cut for the Immaculate Collection.
Wasn't that a song in a movie that she Desperately Seeking Susan or
No,
another movie?
It was Who's That Girl was the movie, I think.
Was that the name of the movie?
Yeah, I think so.
That's not one of my favorite Madonna songs, but I do like. It's not a bad song, but it's not my favorite.
Well,
it's not like
that's
Romantic
why she
Traffic.
left it off. No, it's no Romantic Traffic. Don't worry, I'll be playing that clip for Rob Proust. Don't worry about that. Okay, back to the Leafs for a moment here, because you wrote these books. Can people still get these excellent books, Between the Pipes and Behind the Mask? Tell me what they're about and how can people get them?
Well, they're both collections, like anthologies, profiles of great goalies. So the first book has 12 and the second book has 12. They're sort of it's a sequel. The second book is a sequel. But they're the same format and the same approach, which is emphasizing the personality of each goalie as well as his accomplishments.
And as discussed, we're not going to repeat episode 1447, but you're a huge Hasek head.
I am. I mean, I lived
because
in the
you went.
I lived in the Czech Republic in the 90s, and that's when Hasek and Jágr were like the two best players, arguably, in the NHL. And I got Hasek fever. What can I say? And then when I interviewed him for the book, I was really impressed with how intelligent and thoughtful he was in his answers. It wasn't just cliched answers that he'd memorized.
Great goalie, but the argument we had in episode 1447, people should go back, was Todd and I are adamant that if we have a Game 7 in the Stanley Cup, we want Patrick Waugh in his prime. But you're saying, no, you want Hasek.
Well, I think both are exceptional goalies, but I think there's an anti-Hasek bias in Canada because he's not North American and because he was such an odd duck. So I think that didn't help. But, I mean, realistically, either one of those guys could really bring it in a Game 7.
Okay, no bad choices there. Okay. I wonder, and I'm wondering you as a goaltending expert, if we have to go with Wall for the rest of the series against the Panthers, how do you think the Leafs would fare? Not fair to him to come in, no warm-ups or anything. He has to come in cold. He hasn't played all playoffs. But yesterday, you couldn't help but notice, and it wasn't even his fault. Like that last goal was deflected, and I feel like nobody's stopping that. Maybe Dominic Hasek. But how do you feel the Leafs will fare in this series if Wall is our goalie as opposed to Stolarz? And then how would we fare if Stolarz is fine and can play Game 2? I'm dying to hear what you think.
Well, I think Wall is a good goalie. There's no arguing with that. But he's also smaller than Stolarz, and I think more injury prone in general. And you know what kind of team Florida has. Like, there's going to be a lot of crashing the net, and I'm kind of worried about what might happen to Wall in the next game or Game 3 if he has to play those two games.
Yeah, I remember last year he was pretty great and then couldn't play Game 7, as I recall.
He is injury prone, but he's a good goalie, and I saw his post-game interview last night. He seems pretty poised, pretty collected, and up to the task. So my guess is he'll be in Game 2 because I can't see how Stolarz can go to the bench, vomit, end up in the hospital, and come back and play Game 2. I mean, maybe in 1963 that would have happened, but I don't think it would happen today.
I think that would have happened in 1993.
Possibly, yes. Because Doug Gilmour would have intimidated him and he would have said, okay, I'm back.
Suck it up, Buttercup. This is the playoffs here, okay? What an interesting turn of events where, we were kind of cruising to that win in Game 1 and we're feeling good, and Stolarz has been pretty awesome. He's only lost like twice, I don't know, in his last 14 games or something. I've lost track. But it's all going great. And then, of course, something dramatic has to happen, and we see Wall coming in, and it's like nobody knows what's going on. They're guessing maybe the spotters took him out. I heard that, but then they said if the spotters take you out because they think you got a concussion or need to go in the dark room or whatever, you get to warm up your backup, right? Like there was a rule, like a spotter takes you out, then Wall gets a warm up, and they're like, did the Leafs choose not to warm him up? Which makes no sense to me, but he didn't get a warm up, so it wasn't a spotter taking him out. But what interesting developments we have here in the second round.
Oh, absolutely. It's part of the beauty of the playoffs is there's always great storylines that emerge. But I think in this case, I'm not sure it was a spotters, because I think what happened
I don't think it is a spotter.
He went to the bench and he was, vomiting on the bench. Like, who knows whose skates he hit. But I think they just said, you know what? He's out.
When you're coaching those 7-year-olds, did you have any vomit to clean up?
No, but I did have some funny conversations that I never expected to have on a hockey bench.
Oh, that opens up a whole can of worms. I do, I'm familiar with that age. I mean, of course, I have 4 kids, and they've all cleared that age, but there's a couple that are pretty, recently 7. I guess, is it about farts and poo jokes? What's going on?
No, I could tell you. My nephew's on the team, which is why I was coaching it, and he's 8. And in one of our playoff games, he had a few breakaways and he scored on one of them, but that wasn't the one he was most excited about. He was excited about the breakaway in which he took a shot that ended up in the goalie's midsection.
Oh, yeah.
And he skated to the bench and he said, Auntie Randy, I hit the goalie in the testicles. And this little boy sitting beside him said, you're supposed to say balls.
Yeah, it does feel weird when a 7-year-old says, even though we teach them to say testicles, all the doctor words, it does sound weird.
It really does, especially in the middle of a hockey game.
Or gonads or something, maybe we can
Gonads
find
isn't as clinical as testicles, so I would have gone with that. The testicles gave me pause.
Right in the nuts. Okay, speaking of nuts here, we're going to change gears here from your dancey, let's get moving to some rock and numbers. And I actually think I have to do a little check here, but I believe this is your newest of your 10 jams. I think this is the newest one. You ready?
Sure.
All right, here we go, Randy. Now it's a jam kickin'. Why Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit?
It's simple. I was over 18 in 1992, and I mean, how could you not love that song? It's iconic, and it makes you feel like moving. It's just an amazing song. I don't think anyone, who was over the age of 18 at that time doesn't know that song, and I think most people really like it.
It's like a definitive song. It changes all your hair rockers have to take a hiatus because of this song.
Exactly. It was amazing. Have you seen the Weird Al Yankovic send-up
Every
of it?
time that, I hear the goat.
And I don't know what I'm saying. It's great.
Vince Lombardi, I think. It's, of course. First of all, big Al TV, Al Music, actually. Okay. I only had Much Music. You too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never had MTV, did you?
No.
But you had a rich kid who probably had a satellite dish, but I never got invited over to that guy's house, okay? So all I had was Much Music. And Al would do these takeovers called Al Music, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking loved him. Loved him. He would just do, those interviews of rock stars. He would take their answers and then film him asking fake questions. And he did, we does his songs and all this stuff. But then I found out as an adult that he would do the same thing on MTV first and call it Al TV, and then he would come to Much Music and do Al Music. So I always thought it was like a Much Music thing, but no.
Oh.
How do you feel about that?
So we weren't so special after all.
No, we're not special at all.
That kind of makes me sad.
The older I get, the more I realize how unspecial we are.
I do have a story about Nirvana, and that is, as you know, I was living in Prague in the 90s, and my boyfriend and I at the time bought tickets to see Nirvana, who were scheduled to come to Prague. And then we ended up returning our tickets because Kurt Cobain ended up dead.
Wow. Okay, so that's 94.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so
yeah.
Do you still have the ticket stub? Or
no, you know what? My boyfriend and I had an argument about that because I said, I hope you kept the stub because, it's going to be a collector's item at some point. And he's like, oh, no. I wanted to go to the pub and I needed some money, so I returned the tickets.
Right. there are like people who will say, hey, I have a Joy Division stub for the Edge in Toronto, which that's another show that, because he took his own life before that tour, so that show never happened. And you see those kind of circulating. Do you remember, like, I remember exactly where I was. I remember the reaction when you learned Kurt Cobain had killed himself.
Yeah, I do remember. I was, because I was living in Prague, we were a little bit behind. Like, we were 6 hours ahead, but we got the news a bit late. It was before the internet, before it was popular. But I do remember.
But nobody phoned you with this news? I
didn't have a phone.
Okay,
like
well,
that's a world. That's a world I was living in at the time. But I do remember everyone in the newsroom of the paper where I worked was pretty stunned, and it took me a while to think about the tickets and what to do with the tickets. But I remember feeling very sad because he always did seem a bit like a tormented soul. Kurt
and also,
Cobain.
I had fairly recently before he did take his own life, I was reading this pretty detailed piece about him trying to kill himself in Rome.
Oh, I heard.
Because he was hospitalized with a drug overdose in Rome, and it appeared to be a suicide attempt or whatever. So I had just read this detail. I remember I read it on the TTC going to U of T, and I read this detailed piece because I was still am a huge Nirvana fan. Just one of my favorite bands of all time. Still listen to them all the time. Fucking great band. I think Kurt's a fucking genius, and I love it. And then I remember reading this detail about how close he came to kill himself. So it's almost like when I heard the news, I wasn't so oh my God, it was like, that son of a bitch did it. Like, he did it.
Oh,
like,
so you'd read about that before.
Yeah, because I just read in such detail about this Rome overdose that seemed to be a suicide attempt that I was funny. Sort of prepped for it.
Also, Chris Cornell. Like he was another great voice, great artist from that grunge movement, and same thing happened to him. So I don't know if there's something to it. Maybe that kind of genre just attracted tormented souls in some way.
Yeah, I know. It's terrible. We have a mental health crisis on our hand, and those are a couple of key examples there. What was the name of your boyfriend in Prague?
James.
Okay, my oldest son is named James.
Well, he was British, and because he was British, I used to call him Jimmy just to get under his skin, and it worked.
And I called my son for a long time. I called him Jimmy James after that song on Check Your Head.
It's a great nickname. I should have thought of that at the time. I guess I could send him an email now and address him as Jimmy James.
You still friends?
We're friends on Facebook. We exchange emails once in a while.
How many boyfriends did you have in Prague? Just Jimmy James? How many?
Two. First James and then George. George was later.
Was George Czechian?
He was a Czech Canadian.
What is the term?
Czech. He's a Czech. Yeah.
Czech. Okay.
He was Czech Canadian. So, he could start a sentence in English and switch into Czech and then go back. No interest in sports, though, which was a bit of a negative, but he was a great guy, very funny.
Very funny. Okay, so we're going to get to another jam. First, I'm going to invite you to an important event that I hope you can attend. It would make my day. And then after this next jam, I want to ask you about some of the other playoff matches and goaltenders, etc. Okay? So what are you doing Sunday?
I'm going to Muskoka for Mother's Day.
Oh, you know what? This Mother's Day thing is getting in the way. Okay, so you're off the hook. It's funny. Snow. Do you know Snow?
No, I don't know Snow.
In the early 90s, do you remember Informer?
Yes.
Okay, then you remember Snow. Okay.
Oh, is that Snow? Is he the artist? Or she?
He.
Yeah, I know the song.
Do you like this song?
Yeah. I remember dancing to it.
Is it better than Romantic Traffic?
I think so, in my estimation.
Snow was here yesterday.
Oh, really?
Sitting right on that seat.
Can I take it home?
No, because that's a gift from Blue Sky Agency. Shout out to Doug Mills. Oh, I talked to you on the phone this morning.
This is a great song.
You think how come it didn't make your list?
I forgot it. Honestly, I forgot it.
It might have made your list.
I think I had it on a cassette tape.
Can you do me a favor? So I'm going to invite everybody else, not you because you're in Muskoka, but I just want you to listen to yesterday's episode of Toronto Mic'd of Snow. Would you do that?
I will.
Okay, so it's whatever number you are minus 1, and you'll find Snow, okay? 1685, if my memory's correct.
Is Snow Canadian?
Toronto, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Toronto boy, lives here now.
Well, then I'll definitely listen.
You got to hear the Snow story. He's all Toronto, He was banned from every bay in the country.
Hi.
Oh my God, you got to listen.
Okay, I'll listen.
Jeez, okay. I am shouting out Snow because great episode just yesterday. I'll get back to Snow in a minute because there's kind of a mind blow with regards to another Canadian musician and maybe love. We'll find out. And then how it almost applied to a sports media person I want to ask you about. And I want to ask you about another sports media person. But this Sunday, May 11th, 1:30 p.m. beyond the left field fence of the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball diamond at Christie Pitts is TMLX 18. Everyone is invited. Come on by. We got some gifts from TML Baseball. Toronto Maple Leafs Baseball is making history. They have a woman, Ayami Sato. She's a Japanese woman who's going to start I almost call them the Blue Jays. She's not starting for the Blue Jays, although that wouldn't be so bad. But she's starting for the Maple Leafs at Christie Pitts on Sunday. We're going to watch history. TMLX 18. Everyone's invited. Toronto Maple Leafs have sent you a book here. You can read about the history of Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. It's a very rich history.
I've watched some Toronto Maple Leafs baseball games, and I've really enjoyed them, and I love the atmosphere there at the ballpark.
Yeah. Hopefully Mother Nature is good to us on Sunday, but I'm there rain or shine, and I'm going to be checking that out there. So,
can I say one thing about female pitchers?
Yeah.
There was a woman who played in an exhibition game against a team that included Babe Ruth. And apparently she struck him out.
Is that right?
Yep. Little bit of trivia for you on a Tuesday morning.
Okay, I didn't know this, but that is what. Do you remember the name of this pitcher?
No, I don't.
I have to Google this. I have to find this out. I'm going to learn more about this. But are you ready to kick ass with a song I love from a band I love from an album I love? You ready to do this?
I am.
Fuck!
This is great.
My heart rate's going.
You see? This is why I love it.
One of the great intro songs.
Agreed. Doesn't it make you feel like kicking over garbage cans?
Oh yeah, no. This is a hype song. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Wow. Jackie Mitchell is the name of the woman who struck out Babe Ruth at a charity game. Thank you to Rob Del Mundo. I also want to shout out
Rob.
Hi, Rob. Rob is a fellow sports media person covering hockey.
Yeah, Rob's great.
Rob loves his music. That's after you finish with Snow, go listen to Rob Del Mundo kick out the jams on Toronto Mike. Okay. Moose Grumpy is keeping an eye. I think she's stationed outside the hospital that had Stolars there. Rob says hi, by the way.
Hi, Rob.
Moose is going to let us know if there's any updates on Stolars. I think all Leaf fans are on pins and needles, needing to know, can Stolars play Game 3? What's going on with this guy?
Which hospital is he in?
I don't know, because I made that up. She's not at the hospital. I don't even know. Do you know what hospital?
No, my guess is he's no longer at the hospital.
No, I know. I was just trying to be dramatic. She's not really at the hospital. But if any interns can tell me if they want to break, what is it? TMZ does this all the time, right? Some celebrities in the hospital in Los Angeles, and then somebody will call in a tip and get a few bucks for it, right?
Oh.
So if anybody knows anything. I don't know if this works in Canada. We're going to try. Why Guns N' Fucking Roses?
For the same reason you love it. It makes you feel like kicking garbage cans. It's a great song.
You know what?
It's like a shot of adrenaline. That's a common theme in all the songs I've chosen.
When I start the next jam, I'm going to go around the corner and see if I can find my Appetite for Destruction pennant. I bought it at a head shop on Yonge Street. I bought it in 1988.
I remember the album cover for this. I think I had it on vinyl, and then I had a cassette of this album. I loved it so much.
It's pretty playthrough. I'm trying to think if there's any weak links, but it's pretty solid. What you get in there, you get Mr. Brownstone, you get Paradise City, you get Sweet Child O' Mine. Of course, you get this one.
Do you like this one better than Paradise City? Because everyone seems to prefer Paradise City, but I don't.
That's a tough call. Elliot Friedman is reporting FOTM Elliot Friedman is reporting there's no further discipline for Sam Bennett.
Oh, that's disappointing.
It is disappointing.
He has a previous criminal record.
That's right. He's a repeat offender.
He is a repeat offender.
Let's get him off the ice.
Yeah.
Come on, jeez.
At least put an electronic ankle bracelet on him or something.
Do you know where you are, Bennett?
You're in our goal crease, and your elbow's in our goalie's face.
This is a cool part, and I'll answer your question in a minute. So I repeat that line to my kids all the fucking time. Like, do you know where you are? You're in the jungle, baby. You're going to die.
You don't say you're going to die to your children, I hope.
100% I
Even
do.
James?
Well, James is the oldest. It's the
So
9-year-old.
he's especially targeted.
No, the sweet little Morgan loves it when I say that to her. Trust me. They got a good sense of humor. Okay, so have you seen Guns N' Roses live?
No, never. And that's a disappointment because I think they'd be great.
It's not too
concert.
late. I'm sure they'll come back.
I don't know if I'd want to see them at this point. I find that when I see bands now that I loved back in the day, they disappoint to a certain extent because they're just not what you remember, you know?
Oh, okay. It was pre-pandemic. My brain can't tell anymore. All I know is things that are pre-pandemic, during, and maybe post.
Before times and after
So in the
times.
pre-pandemic, and I'm going to say somewhere between 2016 and 2018. Okay, I saw Guns N' Roses at the Dome with my buddy Elvis, because I remember at the time I had never spent $150 on a concert ticket. It was the first time I spent $150, which I feel is like a cheap seat now. I feel like times have changed dramatically. But I saw Guns N' Roses, and they were full value. It was like 3 hours. They played every song you ever wanted to hear, and you know. Okay, maybe he's not singing. Maybe Axl Rose is not singing like he sang in 1987 or whatever, but pretty fucking good. And Slash was awesome, and I enjoyed the show. So you cough up some of that CBC money and get your ass to see Guns N' Roses before one of these key guys dies.
Well, you know what? I saw, was it last year or the year before? I think it was last year, I saw Leonard Skinner and ZZ Top at Budweiser stage. And I thought Leonard Skinner was great because I think the band members are all new relatively.
Yeah, well, they had a plane crash in 77.
But even from the lineup that was touring in the late 70s or early 80s, it's a different lineup. Like the band members, I think, were all in their 50s probably.
What are your thoughts on Freebird?
You know what Freebird reminds me of? It reminds me of Forrest Gump. Do you remember that scene where she's teetering on the brink of... on a balcony where she's considering killing herself?
Jenny?
I think Robin Wright.
Robin
Wright.
Penn. Well, no, she's no longer Penn. I think she was Penn at the time. I can't remember. But Sean Penn, I think, wasn't Sean Penn in Who's That Girl?
Was he?
Probably. He was married to Madonna.
He married to Madonna. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Shanghai Surprise, you remember that?
Yes, I do remember that one. But anyway, I think in that scene in Forrest Gump where Robin Wright is considering jumping, I think Freebird is playing. And whenever I hear the song, it reminds me of that scene. So I do like it. I think it's a bit long for me, but it's still a very good song.
I think it's too short. Okay, I would say that whatever it is, 10 minutes or whatever.
What's that song Iron Butterfly did, where the song is like
Indigada Vida,
3 hours or something,
which came up with my CHFI episode a couple of days. You know what? I recorded an episode with the guy from Chilliwack, the lead singer and the founder of Chilliwack.
Oh yeah.
And his name's Bill Henderson, and it's going to drop Friday. This is something I almost never do, but like I have too many episodes this week, so I had to pre-record this one, okay? But he talks about one of their early singles as the Collectors was 18 minutes, and then I brought up Indigada Vida, and DJs at the time, of course, DJs needed pee breaks, they needed smoke breaks, like you needed
cocaine breaks.
Cocaine breaks. Have you ever done cocaine?
I did once.
Where?
In a frat house, and I felt like I was having a heart attack.
You snorted it, but okay. So
I don't think I.
Well, how else? I'm so stupid. I've never seen it.
I think I put some under my top lip, like between my gums and my top lip. I can't remember. So
and then
long ago.
What happened to you? I
just felt like we went to see this movie, The Adventures of Baron von Munchausen.
Yeah, Sarah Pauli's in that.
Right, and I remember
Robin Williams. I mean, this is the guy who made Brazil and the guy who made Time Bandits.
Yeah. Was it Terry Gilliam?
Yes.
From Monty Python.
Yeah.
I remember feeling like I was going to have a heart attack. And so that was the first and last time I tried it.
You know who's in this fucking movie? The first time I ever saw her, and I'm like, who is that beauty? Uma Thurman.
Oh.
This is the first time I saw her, and she was like some kind of goddess in a clamshell or something. I can't remember. I just remember thinking, who is this woman?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing her in that, but I don't remember the movie that well at all. I just remember like a feeling like I need to go to the hospital. I'm having a heart attack, and I'm only 20 something.
Jesus. Okay, and you never did it again?
No.
Okay, because I think this guy did it. You ready?
Sure. You think? I think you may be right. He may have done his cocaine a little bit. Oh, very nice. I was worried you might come out with a chainsaw. Upside down.
Okay, we'll get to Black Sabbath in a minute. We'll dedicate this one to Midtown Gord. But this, no one can see this, but unless they're on the live stream right now. But this is a pennant I bought in '88 at a head shop downtown, like Wellesley and Young or something. And yeah, it's the Appetite for Destruction, and I still have it, Randy.
I would like this design on a bath towel. Like I would use it every day when I shower.
If there's any towel sponsors out there, we could do this totally. Just
You can contact Bed Bath & Beyond and start your own line of heavy metal towels.
Randy Rockstar towels here. So just to close the Guns N' Roses thing, is I guess 87 it came out, that album. So I'm like 13 and I have this cassette. It was a cassette at the time. And I remember they had like drawings of like, it was crude drawings of like naked ladies and stuff in this thing. And I remember honestly feeling like I had contraband. Like I was like, oh my God, this band is so fucking dangerous.
You're like, what if mom sees this?
What? I just was like, oh my God, I'm like an adult now. I feel like I'm Mo Berg here. I'm a fucking adult now because I've got this contraband. I'm listening to it, and then you used to do a little, and a little wouldn't do it, but a little got more and more. My old man is a real motherfucker. Gonna kick his ass down. Like I'm hearing this. I'm like, this band is dangerous. I like this.
Yeah, that's part of the appeal, and that's one of the reasons I like Ozzy Osbourne as well.
Yeah, talk to me about Paranoid.
This song also makes me feel like kicking garbage cans, jumping off fire hydrants, that kind of thing. I like it because it's a big boost of energy.
Yeah.
This is the kind of music you listen to when you're going on a run and you need that extra bit of energy at the end when you're tired.
Great jam. Have you ever seen Ozzy Osbourne?
Only on TV. He seems like quite a character. I'd love to see him live. I don't know now, but
how has he not ended up at Ridley Funeral Home? How did he have managed to?
It's a miracle,
the
isn't
Grim
it?
Reaper? Yeah.
And I actually once for a story interviewed his, I think now ex-wife Sharon Osbourne.
Oh, they're not together? See, I'm so out of these loops.
I think they were separated for a while, but she told me she described him, and the way she described him was as if he wasn't Ozzy Osbourne. She just said he's really sweet. He brings me perfume and flowers, and he likes to cuddle. And I'm like, wait a minute, he bites off the heads of bats.
This is the, I guess, Alice Cooper's trick, right? You have a persona. Mm-hmm. And I was just chatting with Snow about Kiss. He was a big Kiss head because he's a bit older than us. And he was really into Kiss. I always preface that because I feel like were you a Kiss fan?
I wasn't, but I am now because I met Gene Simmons last year.
Isn't he a jerk?
No, he was the opposite of a jerk. He was like really intelligent, really informed, wanted to talk about history, politics, current affairs, and he flirted with me. So this is why I like Gene Simmons.
Would you have coffee with Gene Simmons?
Absolutely, but only if he was wearing his outfit. Like when I walk into a coffee shop, I want to make an impression. So he's got to be wearing those boots.
Does he have to wear the makeup?
He has to wear the makeup. He has to have the foil.
Oh, I know what you like. He's got that really long tongue, right?
It's easier to have conversation with people who have solid tongues.
Well, they can last longer in the conversation. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Hey, by the way, there's Kiss caskets, but I'm here to tell you, don't buy a fucking Kiss casket. Say that quickly. Kiss casket.
Kiss casket.
Do it again.
Kiss casket.
One more.
Kiss casket.
That's why you're on the CBC.
You know how you do it? You
How?
think of the word in your head. You visualize the
casket.
word, and you're just reading it. Kiss casket.
Not
Kiss casket.
Kiss caskets. So Kiss casket. Made in America or somewhere else, but it's not made in Canada. And I just want to let you know, this is important to me. Ridley Funeral Home, all the caskets they sell at Ridley Funeral Home, made right here in Canada.
Okay.
I think that's important.
Where is Ridley Funeral Home?
14th and Lakeshore in New Toronto.
In New Toronto.
You can walk there from here and say hi to Brad, okay? Yesterday, I'm watching the Leaf game 1, second round. And Sportsnet opens with a song, okay? So they do their montage at the beginning. This is like 8 p.m. And Sportsnet has a song, okay? So, I'm hearing this song. I already have it loaded up for you. I'm going to play it in a second here.
Okay.
And then in the arena, before the anthems, they have that hype music going. Mm-hmm. It's the same fucking song. And I'm like, oh my God. So the same song Sportsnet opens with, the Scotiabank Arena is basically opening with. And now we're going to kick it out. You ready?
Hall & Oates?
When you can talk up and hit the post on this one too.
Amazing song. Everyone loves the song. Even people who don't like Q107 like the song.
I like this song. After Welcome to the Jungle, this is the best intro song right here.
It's very good.
It builds. Here we go.
Say your prayers, it's a one. Don't forget, my son, to include everyone. I tuck you in, all within, keep you free from sin, till the Sandman he comes. Sleep with one eye open, gripping your pillow tight. Exit light, and tonight, take my hand, off to Neverland.
Enter Sandman. Tell me why you love Metallica.
Oh, I mean, what's to talk about? Everyone loves this song. If I'm in the washroom and I hear the song, I'm banging my head against the washroom door. Like, it's that kind of song. It's invigorating. It's fun. It's uplifting, and it makes you want to get up and do things.
What about those people you meet in the wild who don't like hard rock? They don't like this kind of guitar sound.
I don't understand those people.
What happened to those people? Maybe they weren't exposed to. You know how you have to. There's new studies, like, because if you expose your newborn I think it's between 6 months and 12 months. If you expose them to like, I'm not a doctor.
Peanuts.
Don't follow. Yeah, peanuts.
Yeah.
Don't follow my advice. Talk to your dog, your pediatrician or whatever. But if you expose them at this certain young period, the odds of them being allergic to peanuts is dramatically reduced. I think you need to introduce people to a hard rock sound early, and then they acquire the taste, and then they're ready for Metallica.
I know my nephew has a little friend who's also 7 years old, and he loves Iron Maiden. And he wears Iron Maiden t-shirts. And I'm sure I know where that comes from. But I agree. I think every child should be listening to hard rock as soon as they're out of the womb.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will
Swaddle them up and expose them to some heavy metal.
These aren't my jams. These are Randy's jams. But I think Welcome to the Jungle is better than Enter Sandman.
Oh, I don't know. There's some people who disagree with you.
Well, you disagree because you had one at 7 and one at 5.
Well, I didn't put them in order of preference. I put them here they are. These are all songs I love.
Then why did you number them?
Just so I made sure I kept to 10. Like, who knows? I can't keep track. I could, put on 15, 16 songs, but I needed to number them so I knew.
Who's the best goaltender still remaining in the NHL playoffs?
Well, I would say in the regular season, Connor Hellebuyck. But in the playoffs, I don't know. I mean, Binnington was impressive in that series. Stolarz has been amazing. I liked Blackwood in Colorado.
Yeah, but two of these guys are no longer around. I mean, like,
I know.
You got to live in the present, Randy.
Not in the last week.
Because Bennington, who, at the Four Nations,
That was an incredible save he made at the end.
he stole my heart.
Yeah.
In fact, I was watching that Game 7, like many, because it was 3-1 late in the third for St. Louis. And I was like, I know I'm supposed to root for Winnipeg because they're based in Canada, but I felt this soft spot for Jordan Binnington where I found myself rooting for him.
Yeah, he's a great goalie. He's a tough competitor. I've heard he's not the nicest person, but I don't think that really matters.
I'm not the nicest person.
I think you're quite nice.
No, I'm just nice to you. Okay.
No, you have good taste in music. I think you're nice.
Okay.
I will go for coffee with you.
Would you?
I would.
Okay.
If you dress like Gene Simmons.
So I said this is funny. I'm talking about Snow a lot today because it was just yesterday and I re-listened to it and I fucking loved it. Even though he's batshit crazy.
Is he?
Yeah, he's about...
That kind of appeals to me.
Well, I think he's married.
Batshit crazy works for me.
I don't know. Will you date a married guy?
No.
Because Snow is married.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So married's a negative, batshit crazy is a positive. So it would be something
they
I
don't
have to
cancel
think
each
about.
other out. Okay,
No.
but because he's talking about Kiss. He was in love with Kiss, and he's talking about this, and I was telling him the truth, which is my contact at Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. His name is Keith Stein. He owns that team. He can just call Gene Simmons and Gene answers. This is how close they are.
Wow.
In fact, I actually arranged for a coffee date. It was non-romantic as far as I know, but between Keith Stein and Stu Stone, who's an FOTM Hall of Famer. And Stu was reporting back on this lunch he had with Keith, and he says, Keith called up on speakerphone, called up Gene Simmons in front of Stu, and they had a conversation. Like,
wow.
This is a power move. So I was thinking, I think next time I have coffee with someone, like, because I podcast prospects or whatever, I'm having a business date with somebody, I'm gonna call up one of the many FOTM celebrities and just have a little chat in front of them. Like, here, I'm gonna call up Snow, for example, or I'm gonna call up Randi Druzin. And look, I can get I don't know your number, but I would call you up and get you on the speakerphone just to show this power.
And the person sitting across from you would give you a solid blank look. Like, who is this?
No,
who is he? Who is this man you're speaking to?
Who is Randy River, and what is he doing to our clothes? That's what he say here.
I do have a colleague who calls me Randy River.
Yeah, well, in our
repeatedly.
Obviously, you forgot in episode 1447 when you first visited.
Oh, I remember
your, bodyguard Todd Deneau. We were kind of fascinated on the Who is Randy River because they were aired a lot on, I think, 680 CFTR when I was listening.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, perfect age to give a shit who Randy River was. I'm like, who the fuck is Randy River?
It's a catchy name. Yeah. I do remember my last
what's he doing
visit.
to our clothes? Like, I'm asking these. I found myself I'd have my Walkman on. I'd be on a bike ride. I'd be like, who is Randy River? And what is he doing to our clothes?
Is there still Randy River around?
No. In fact, I can't even find. So I went to YouTube to find that old ad that I have stuck in my head, and I can't even find the ad. So if anyone out there can find me audio of who is Randy River radio ads of the, I guess, late 80s, I guess is where we're at, please share with me.
Do you remember the commercial for Palmolive? You're soaking in it?
Okay. If I don't remember that, I'm dead already, okay? Of course I remember Madge.
You're soaking in it.
Huge in the 80s, all over the place here. So who is the best goalie who's still active? In your opinion?
Okay. People are going to spit on me for saying this, but I'm keeping the faith in Hallebuck.
Okay. That dirty Yankee? Okay. Although our goalie's a dirty Yankee too. So
I don't know if he's a supporter of tariffs, but he is American.
Well, I just remember the Four Nations there. How's Bobrovsky? I thought he looked shaky. That one of those goals, I can't remember the final goal, but I think it was a final goal that was scored on him, was weak sauce.
I remember
a little bit of a knuckler, but still. You got to stop that.
Honestly, if you'd asked me yesterday who I think the best goalie in the playoffs is, I would have probably said Bobrovsky. But after last night, I thought he just kind of looked average at points. And I mean, there was one or two goals. I think one of the goals, I can't remember which, I thought, was he screened on that shot? And he actually wasn't. So I think he didn't have a great outing, and I hope that continues.
I hope that continues tomorrow night. So we're getting to the next jam, and then I'm going to ask you about some sports media personalities, okay?
Okay.
Words are flowing out
like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither wildly as they slip away across the universe. Pools of sorrow, waves of joy are drifting through my opened mind, possessing and caressing me. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world. Nothing's gonna change my world.
Randy, we're slowing it down for this jam. This doesn't sound like it's your tempo, but tell me why you love Across the Universe by the Beatles.
I think it's just a beautiful song that makes people reflective and kind of happy. And something just occurred to me while we were listening to it. Imagine John Lennon having sung the song dressed as Gene Simmons in full Kiss regalia. What an image that would have been.
Do you think that could have happened? Had John Lennon lived, would that eventually have happened?
No. It's just speculation,
I don't
but
know.
I
I
would
could see
say
him
no.
hosting Saturday Night Live in the mid-'80s or something, and he's dressed up. And Gene Simmons maybe kisses the musical guest, and then as a skit for a gag.
That would have been
dressed-
funny. That would be very funny. In
It
fact,
could
I think
happen.
SNL should run with this. They could do a skit, with someone singing a very moving song like this, dressed as Gene Simmons in Kiss.
Well, Gene's going to want them to cut a check if that happens. You know that. Okay, so the Beatles. Were you raised with the Beatles?
Oh, yeah. The thing with the Beatles is people say they're overrated. I disagree. I think they're overplayed because their songs...
Wait, who says they're overrated?
Everyone says that now. It's fashionable. It's fashionable.
Does Todd Deneau say that?
No, Todd would never... Not in my presence. I would just slap him.
I actually don't think I'm hanging around the right groups or something. I feel like sometimes I'll hear somebody will say, everyone's saying this, and I'll be like, I've never heard that. Like,
People
what?
are saying that. And even the Clash said it in their song. Was it London Calling? It said Beatlemania is dead.
Yeah.
That was only like 10 years after the Beatles
But
broke up.
Beatlemania was dead. But that's different than Beatles are overrated.
Okay, well, I do hear Beatles are overrated, but I think people say that because they're just overplayed. You can't get in an elevator without hearing a Beatles song. So I think that's part of the problem. But there's no denying they're just a brilliant band.
no.
And so versatile. They can play songs like this. They can do Helter Skelter. They can do anything. They could do anything.
Tomorrow Never
rather.
Knows.
Yep, also a great song.
Yeah, you're right. They're very
I
versatile.
think that song was from the Revolver album, and I think John Lennon wrote about it based on an experience Peter Fonda had at one of their parties on
Easy Rider.
acid in a bathtub.
Hey, keep the fun facts coming. You got me on the woman who struck out Babe Ruth, and I love it. I love it so much. Now, there was that moment, speaking of Saturday Night Live, when Paul McCartney and John Lennon were both in New York, and you might have seen footage of it.
Yeah.
You were too young to watch it. Come on, you weren't allowed up that late back then.
Oh,
But
you'd be surprised.
Lauren Michael, they were offering, was it $3,000 or something?
Yeah, for
if,
them to come down to the studio.
And the legend is that they considered it.
Yeah, I heard that they did have a phone call and then there was some logistical problem. Otherwise, I think they both would have gone down there. Because I think at that point, they were on good terms. Because as you know, Lennon and McCartney, kind of like brothers, sometimes good, sometimes
Sure.
not.
Sure. Similar thing happened here in the TMDS basement studio when I had this moment of I want to reunite Damien Cox and Gord Stellick.
Oh, yeah. I don't really know. I've met Gord Stellick, great guy. Damien Cox, I've never met, but I did work at the Toronto Star for a summer when he was working there as a reporter.
Did you cross paths at 1 Yonge Street?
I saw him in the newsroom. I never interacted with him because he was Damien Cox and I was just some newbie copy editor at the time. So I don't think he had any time for me. I didn't ask him, but I'm guessing he probably would not have had time for me.
Ironic to me. Ironic? No, I know. Ever since Alanis Morissette ruined the word ironic, I have to think about whether that's irony. It's not really irony.
I was going to pick one of her songs for the 10. You Ought to Know. But I thought that's a girl anthem. Maybe it's not the best for the show.
Would she go down on you in a theater? We all remember where we were when we learned Kurt Cobain was dead, and when we first heard "Will She Go Down on You" in a theater. Okay, where was it? Oh yeah, so Damien Cox. So I used to have a little moment. We're gonna talk about sports media personality. So Damien, not he was too cool for you. You were just an intern. Selfie will do for now. And then you got Gord Stellick. What are your experiences like with Gord Stellick?
Oh, I thought he was very friendly. I went there. I met him. It was a tribute for Frank Orr, the sports writer. And it was at the Hockey Hall of Fame. And I met him there and had a really nice conversation with him. So I thought it was one of the Stellick brothers. I'm hoping it was Joe.
They're both great storytellers.
Yeah,
they've both been here. They're both great storytellers. But only one of them traded Cordic for Cordnell. Wasn't Bob. Okay. Although he was there at the time. But okay.
I apologize. I apologize if I got the wrong Stellick. That will be embarrassing.
Okay. Well, they're both great Stellicks. That's for sure. So I used to book a lot more active mainstream sports media personalities. Like in the earlier days of Toronto Mike, I would often have somebody who worked for TSN or somebody who worked for Sportsnet. And at some point, I got like a nasty PR email from Sportsnet telling me to stop. I would just very nicely ask if they wanted to come over. If they said no, I left them alone. I wasn't showing up outside their house, throwing eggs at their home or anything like that. It was very polite and civil and respectful, and not even that persistent, to be honest. I just asked one time.
What was the issue? Why would they have an issue with that?
They said, come to us and tell us who you want to talk to, and we'll discuss it with them and decide if it's appropriate or whatever. But here's that story, which I don't know if I've shared that story, but I've teased it a lot of times. It really took a lot of the wind out of my sails when it came to talking to active members of Sportsnet. Okay, because this email came from Rogers Sportsnet PR. But the woman who sent it and copied all these people on it, this email I got, ready for this? Damien Cox's daughter.
It was Damien Cox's daughter who sent out that email?
Correct.
Oh.
Rogers Sportsnet PR.
You need to take that up with Damien.
I did. We've had many. He's been over a few times since then, and I joke with him about it. But sometimes I've grabbed what I've done is I pivoted to, it became less fun to have active sports media people who are I hate to say it, but these cable companies, and I know you're with CBC and you're doing your thing, and did you need permission to come here?
No.
Okay, but just so you know, CBC always says yes. I had Devin Hero over,
I saw that.
Yeah,
Devin's a nice
he went
guy.
through. He asked permission. I feel like this is the Amanda Lang rule. Like the CBC people have been told you need to ask permission, but they're always getting it.
But I think it's probably they're probably more strict with on-air people.
They've never said no.
Yeah,
they've never said no. So Dwight Drummond.
Oh yeah, Dwight. I've worked with him. He's a nice guy. That I find that personally, in my experience, that PR people can be a nuisance. Like when I'm researching my books and I want to talk to, for example, when I wanted to speak to Marc-Andre Fleury,
right?
I had to go jump through hoops through the PR. I ended up getting him, but sometimes they're sort of more of an obstruction than a help, more of a hindrance than a help.
Randy, you're singing my song here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
100%. This whole idea that this person who has a full-time job for you, you somehow own their time.
Yeah.
And you'll basically tell Toronto Mike he's not allowed to talk to this person. And instead of this person who isn't, an adult being responsible for the words they say into a microphone. I mean, people know how to be careful and how to, if there's a topic you're not allowed to talk about, you know what you can say to me? I'm not allowed to talk about that. And guess what I do? I rough you up. No,
yeah,
I don't rough you up. But
here's the thing. I mean, you would think it would be good for them. It's good exposure. They have their personalities out on another platform. Why not?
Of course, it's not like there's no gotcha stuff going on here. We're just having a nice conversation. But what I did is I gravitated. I lost interest in having on. Funny thing is that Moose Grumpy mentioned Elliot Friedman, who did come on this show. Elliot's been in the basement for a long conversation, but it was like a decade ago or something, because now I don't even bother with the people I see on Sportsnet or the people I see on TSN. I don't even bother. I'm at a point now where I would rather talk to Brendan Canning from Broken Social Scene. I'd rather talk to, later this afternoon, Mino Versteeg from Colorado. I am going to have Ron Hawkins back from Lowest of the Low in about a week or so. I get my kicks out of a snow versus having on somebody who works at TSN or Sportsnet. So I basically did this bit of a pivot. Like I'm still talking to people from different areas, but I don't even bother with somebody I see on Sportsnet because it's not, to me, it's just not worth the hassle of having to go through some PR person who needs to justify their existence by saying no to fiercely independent podcasters like me.
Why not just go around them? That's what I do, and run around PR. I mean, that's what I would advise.
Yes, and back in the day, I used to.
You can do
100%
that now using social media.
But now, I think a lot of these Bell Media employees and these Rogers employees have been warned, basically, like, you need to do this. And I think they're so scared for their jobs now. Like, nobody's safe, right? You know, Bob McCowan can be fired. Don Cherry can be fired.
Yeah.
Like, there is no more of this, oh, I'm popular. Oh, you know, Jeff Merrick can be fired, right? You ever bumped into Jeff?
He worked at the CBC. So
the Hockey Night in Canada show.
I did cross paths with him, but I don't really know him that well. Or at all.
But my point is, there's a guy who was popular, good at his job, and something happened and he was gone. But the point is, nobody's safe. So why would you risk it? Why would you risk this rare media job that pays an actual paycheck? Why would you risk it by coming over to Mike? Because he's got fresh craft beer, because he's got delicious
the best
palma
lasagna
pasta,
in the city.
Toronto Maple Leafs book, the baseball team. He's got the measuring tape. He's got the wireless speaker. I will tell you that recyclemyelectronics.ca is where you go, Randy. If you have old cables, old electronics, old devices, you go to recyclemyelectronics.ca, put in your postal code, and find out where to drop it off to be properly recycled. I'm going to pick up the sports media after this jam, okay? This is the anti-penultimate jam. You ready?
I am.
From the Beatles to some other British band.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
I forget their name. I like this opening in the headphones.
Yeah. It's more vivid when you have it on.
Please allow me to introduce myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I've been around for a long, long year. Stole many a man's soul of faith. I was around when Jesus Christ had his moment of doubt and pain. Made damn sure the pilot washed his hands and sealed his face. Pleased to meet you. Hope you guessed my name. But what's puzzling you is the nature of my game.
The Rolling Stones.
Isn't that a great song?
Yes.
It really is a great song. And I remember the first time I saw the Rolling Stones in concert, Mick really delivered on this tune, and that's why I chose it. And plus, it has all these great historical references.
No, fucking great song, of course. It was on Hot Rocks, for God's sakes. That was my go-to Rolling Stones.
I remember Hot Rocks. I actually had the vinyl, and I remember trying to clean the vinyl stupidly with a cotton ball dipped in rubbing alcohol. Did not work out well.
You know what? You live and learn, right, Randy?
Yeah, I've learned.
That's an Atlanta song. You live, you learn.
Yeah, that's not, there's no irony in that title.
Don't you think? Okay, I'm actually going to get back to that sports media thing, but I'm going to name the NHL matchups, and you don't even have to focus on goalies, even though you have two wonderful books that people can still buy. One is called Between the Pipes. The other is called Behind the Mask. Where would you send somebody to buy it? I can't remember what you said last time.
Well, it's everywhere. You know, Indigo,
like
Amazon.
City TV.
City TV?
Everywhere.
Oh, right. No, I don't have my books at City TV. But they're everywhere online. Although I did have a problem at Christmas that Amazon ran out of copies. They ran out of stock just before Christmas. So that was not a pleasant experience.
No. What are you going to do? Do you do pre-orders? What happens there? Get the money, take the money and run?
To be honest, I don't know. I was on the phone with my publisher going, what the hell's going on? Christmas is in 10 days and people can't buy my book on Amazon.
People have hockey fans and they're good gifts at hockey.
Yeah, so I'm directing people to Indigo.
Does anyone write more? Indigo's a good place to go. Does anybody write more hockey books than Todd Deneau?
Todd's written some fabulous books, and people are still commenting to me. Like when I tell them I'm friends with him, they're like, "Oh, I love that book. You know, I love the Jacques Plante book." And in fact, I used the Jacques Plante book to research the Jacques Plante chapter before I even knew who Todd was.
That's a mind blow right there.
Yeah.
Carolina Hurricanes versus the Washington Capitals. Who's going to win this series?
I'm going to go with Washington because of Ovi. He's on a mission, and he's hard to stop when he's on a mission.
Putin could stop him.
But Putin won't stop him because Ovi and he are tight.
Right. Good point. Edmonton Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights.
Again, Connor McDavid on a mission. So I'm putting my bet on Connor McDavid and the Oilers, and Draisaitl's nothing to sneeze at either. So
You like the Europeans, I noticed.
I do.
Catching on here. Ovechkin,
Have you noticed
Draisaitl,
the best goalies in the league now?
Bobrovsky. Yeah.
Most of them are European. And back in the day, goes into the 90s, most of them were Canadian goalies.
All they had was Archer's Urbe.
Arturs. I remember there's no H.
No, I think I said Archer. I recorded it. We'll play it back. Who is going to win Panthers versus Leafs? Leafs are up 1-0.
Oh, this could go either way. I mean, people who thought... There was people early in the game yesterday saying, "Oh, they're going to do it. They're going to get rid of the Panthers." And I'm like, are you insane? The Panthers are not going to roll over. They're not going to sweep the Panthers. They're going to, if the Leafs are lucky enough to beat the Panthers, it's going to be in game 6 or 7. It's not going to be an easy battle.
No, nothing comes easy against the Stanley Cup champions. Okay, Stars versus Jets.
I have to go with the Jets, otherwise my cousins will disown me. I have a huge extended family in Winnipeg. Plus, you saw how that game ended the other night.
I did.
1.6 seconds left.
I was watching.
Fabulous.
I was watching, and I was watching with my 11-year-old, who he had never witnessed. Like that was like the first time he saw such a significant goal at like that time in the clock, and he
It was amazing.
Was screaming. He was screaming. I was like,
it was amazing.
Imagine the Leafs did that.
You know what I'm hoping for? My wish is a Leafs-Jets final. I would love that. And I've already told my cousins, if it happens, we don't talk until the series is over.
Well, that's good for you and your cousins. But in this household, there is a wish that it'll be a Leafs-Oilers final.
That would also be amazing. An all-Canadian final would be great for all Canadians. And maybe not so much for Gary Bettman, but for the rest of us. I don't.
No, I don't know. I'm not going to get political. I kind of started this on with Snow yesterday, and I found out we don't align. But that's okay. Not everybody aligns with my radical thoughts here. But who cares about Bettman? Who cares about American viewership? Who gives a fuck about whether they like our bands or not? Like, we're Canada, baby.
I agree. And it's our sport. It was our sport.
Well, we won that 4 Nations. Okay,
Thank God.
When it's best on best, it's more often than not on the men's side at least. In the women's split it with the Americans, of course, but on the men's side, more often than not in recent history, when it's best on best, Canada wins.
That's true.
We won that thing that Marchand had that winning goal. I can't remember what that was. A World Cup, I guess. So the most recent one just happened with McDavid getting the winner. Good pass from Mitch Marner.
And wasn't
we
that
won
Matthews?
The one before that was like a World Cup that we won. I remember Crosby, and that's when they put McDavid on some kind of under 25 team or some kind of young guns or something like that. But we won that, and we won Sochi. Mm-hmm. We won Whistler. I guess not Whistler. Why am I calling that? The Vancouver Olympics in 2010 with the golden goal. Mm-hmm. So we did not win 2006, but we did win 2002. So more often than not, Randy, when it's best on best. Men's hockey, Canada prevails.
It's true. But the other thing is, other nations are posing more of a threat now than they would have even, 20 or 30 years ago. Like hockey is really coming up in some of those European countries where, in the past it was like they'd have 1 or 2 good players, the Czechs or the Russian. Now they have like half the team plays in the NHL. So that's the difference. But my feeling about that 4 Nations Cup was, how much did you hate the Tkachuk brothers after that tournament?
I hated them quite a bit.
I still hate them. The hate has carried over.
We can't get rid of them. We have to take them out one at a time. Brady's gone.
And then you saw Domi lay a huge hit on Keith Tkachuk yesterday, and I was not sad about it.
No tears were shed. Okay, this is the penultimate jam, but I'm going to shout out Nick Iones and his wonderful podcast, Building Toronto Skyline. We referenced One Yonge Street just a moment ago because you were at the Toronto Star with Damien Cox. And that geographical footprint is going to be home to the tallest skyscraper in the country. One Yonge Street. It's going to be 105 floors.
What?
The penthouse is going to be the same height as the CN Tower's observation deck. And we dove into this with the people making it. Pinnacle, I believe, is making it. This is an episode of Building Toronto Skyline with Nick Iones. Yeah, 105 floors.
Is it residential?
Yeah.
Who is going to want to live on the 105th floor?
I asked the guy what it goes for because it's still available. The penthouse, 105th floor, $30 million, still available. Do you have any interest?
Yeah, I can put down a down payment tomorrow on my CBC income.
Well, thankfully for you, the Liberal Party won this election.
So I won't lose my job.
You won't lose your job.
Yes.
Okay. Penultimate jam, about to kick it, but a little sports media talk here because Snow, it's all about Snow today. Snow tells me that he is cousins with Stephen Page, founder of Bare Naked Lady, no longer in the band, but of course responsible for many of their great hits. We love Stephen Page on the show. Did you know Snow was Stephen Page's cousin?
No, I had no idea.
When you listen to this episode yesterday, you'll learn that according to Snow, his cousin Stephen Page said that 1 week, which was the Bare Naked Lady song to go number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100. It was there for 1 week, appropriately enough, was basically emulating Informer, which went to number 1 for 14 weeks. Not a ripoff, but stylistically a copy. This is according to Snow, who said he got it from Stephen Page's cousin. That's a fun fact. But I can tell you another cousin of Stephen Page is Steve Simmons. What do you think of Steve Simmons as a sports media personality?
I love his writing. He always has great insights. His columns always generate buzz. And he was really generous with me. Like, he helped me and supported my book and my publicity efforts when the book came out, Behind the Mask.
I like Steve Simmons.
Yeah, and he was. I had a book launch party for media, and I invited him, and I had some friends there too, and they were in awe. They're like, "Is that Steve Simmons in the corner? Oh my God, can I talk to him?" And I said, "Well, he does talk, so why not try it?"
Yeah, Steve Simmons is a big deal. Okay.
Yeah, he's great.
Okay, so he's kind of a fixture. We mentioned Damien Cox, but there's another guy I was going to ask you about, Howard Berger. Now, Howard Berger has left the mainstream media game because he is no longer, many moons ago, he left 590, The Fan, and now he works for not for Ridley Funeral Home, he works for a different funeral home.
I heard that.
Yeah, this is like his full-time job. And he blogs on the side because it's a passion to write about sports and he enjoys doing that. Have you ever met Howard Berger?
No, I haven't met him, but I have met his copy because when I worked at the National Post, I was a copy editor in the sports section, and I think he was writing for the Post occasionally.
He was.
So I did copy edit some of his stories, but I never actually met him.
I have it on good authority that Howard Berger is looking to date. Would you? I follow him on Facebook. He's a little thirsty, okay? But he's got a job. He's got a good job. He enjoys. He loves hockey with great passion. Would you go for coffee with FOTM Howard Berger?
Well, I'm in a situationship right now.
Oh, that's right.
So
it's confusing.
I'm kind of committed to my situationship.
So, okay, this is important detail for Howard Berger and other eligible males listening right now. So you're not available right now for coffee dates of a romantic nature.
Correct.
Like it's going to be platonic if you meet someone for coffee.
Unless it's Gene Simmons.
Well, that you can't say.
Then
no
I will
to that
ask
tongue.
him to marry me.
So what is it that makes, can you tell me why this relationship you're currently in is complicated? Like, is he dating other people?
I don't think so. I
But
hope
maybe?
not. I hope not.
Okay. Have you ever had that conversation? Like, when does it, I don't know, because I haven't been available in a while, but like, when do you decide as a couple that we are now exclusive? My daughter was just telling me she dated a guy for a couple of months. It just ended in Montreal. And she was telling me that they were not, even though they didn't date other people, they were not exclusive. Like, they were allowed to date other people. And I was thinking, like, is it like when you watch like Happy Days and then they say, okay, let's go steady? Like, when in a relationship do you have that conversation, which is, let's be exclusive?
Well, I know when I get there because the guy usually gives me his Letterman jacket, and then I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm wearing his jacket.
Like Ralph Malph would do that.
Exactly, or Potsy.
Oh, Potsy was better looking than Ralph
It's
Malph.
true though; it is a complicated issue, and I guess different couples approach it in different ways.
So this gentleman, it's a man you're with, right? And this
Yeah.
gentleman, I don't know. I don't make assumptions in 2025. But this gentleman and you have been. How long have you guys been seeing each other?
I'd say like 5 or 6 months.
Okay. And it's complicated because
Because he doesn't live in Toronto.
Whoa.
Yeah.
How far away does he live?
I can't tell you.
Well, you don't have to tell me where. Like, are we talking about a drive?
We're talking like 2 hours.
In a car?
Yes.
Took you 2 hours to get here today, Randy.
No, it took me 45 minutes.
Okay, that's not so bad. Oh, so you don't see each other as often as you'd like, maybe because of geography.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm going to ask you more questions after the recording, but let's get to your penultimate jam. You ready?
I am. Love this.
Talk to me about your love for Led Zeppelin.
I really love Led Zeppelin. Like, there's very few Led Zeppelin songs I don't like. I had a hard time choosing my favorite, but I like this one because I remember, first of all, they played at all the hockey games. I'm sure you've heard it. I remember once having this, at the time it was an iPod. I had an iPod. I was walking home from work in a snowstorm, and this song came on, and I just had this blast of joy where I was just standing on a corner with the wind and the snow blowing in my face, listening to the Immigrant Song, and I'm like, I love life. It was so much fun, so invigorating.
I'm going to share with the listenership that your original list of songs included repeat songs from certain artists. We won't name, but Led Zeppelin's one of them.
Yes.
But I sent it back. I rejected it, and I said, I don't want repeat artists.
You wrote, I don't like Whole Lotta Love, and I won't subject my listeners to it.
I actually prefer that song to this one. So I feel like this is so far I'm looking at your list, and I actually do like all the songs you've chosen. But I don't really love Led Zeppelin. Like, this song, I don't really love.
Oh, really? I love it.
I don't hate it. I've never in my life purposefully played it.
Oh, I play it all the time. You know what it's like?
You better. It's your number 2 song.
It's kind of like you're lying on the couch, kind of falling asleep, and the song comes on, and you're awake and you're ready to run a marathon. Like, that's the effect the song has on you.
No, it's a big song. It was in School of Rock, as I remember. Like,
Yes.
It's a big fucking jam. Of course, Immigrant Song from Led Zeppelin.
Whole Lot of Love.
For yours truly, like, I don't know how long a list I'd have to get to a Led Zeppelin song. Like, it would be maybe my top 10,000 songs.
Really?
Yeah.
What about
Well, we can't be clones
Lemon
of each
Song?
other.
Lemon Song?
Sing it for me.
I know the lyrics.
I had Led Zeppelin
Squeeze
4.
my lemon till the juice runs down my leg. Like, every guy loves that song. At least that's the way it was in high school.
I've only ever owned one. I owned Led Zeppelin 4 on CD. I bought it in high school. And I liked Black Dog.
Yep.
I liked Rock and Roll.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I did like Stairway to Heaven. I liked how it was like this operatic thing and it had these different tonal changes.
Here's a problem with Stairway to Heaven, though. Remember those dances you have in middle school?
Yeah, it gets fast.
It's a slow dance, and you break away, and it's a fast dance, and you come back together. It's very off-putting.
I agree with you. That
As
song,
a dance song.
Because you want songs. The one I always remember was Lady in Red by Krista Berg. Like, these are the jams we need because we can press against the
Yeah, but
girl.
not that one. Not that one.
It was a popular...
Complete and Utter Love. I remember thinking he's milking cows. Like, why is he talking about udders?
Oh, right. Okay.
I do have a good Led Zeppelin story for you.
Yeah, let me hear it.
When I lived in the Czech Republic, Robert Plant and Jimmy Page came to perform. And my boyfriend at the time, George, who I've mentioned, said to me, don't get excited. It's not going to be Zeppelin. It's going to be like acoustic Zeppelin, like unplugged Zeppelin.
No quarter.
something very mellow. So we went beforehand, we had dinner, we smoked a joint, and I was ready to mellow out to Led Zeppelin. And I get there, and the first song was rock and roll, and it was Zeppelin. It was just overwhelming.
Wow. Okay.
So it was one of the best concerts.
That's when you need your Coke. You need to snort your Coke.
Yeah, I should have brought my cocaine with me. What was I thinking?
I can't believe you. So you did try it the one time, and then you said your heart rate.
Yeah, I just felt out of sorts. I felt like my heart was
pounding. You didn't snort
pounding.
it. You put it in your.
I put it. You know what?
Like
I don't remember
because there was no Google back then. Like I feel like I'd be the guy who Googles how do I do cocaine.
Yeah, there was no Google then. The reality is, I think I'm the worst person to try cocaine because I'm hyperactive to begin with.
Me too.
So the cocaine will just make it 10 times worse.
Welcome. Yeah, me too. I can't do any uppers because I'll be through the roof.
And then you won't sleep for 5 days. So, but I will say that concert by Robert Plant and Jimmy Page was one of the best shows I've ever seen.
Well, you're a huge Led Zeppelin fan.
Big Led Zeppelin fan.
I know, and you're not alone.
There's cover bands, Led Zeppelin cover bands, and I drive around the city to see them.
I would argue, knowing you as well as I do now, this is our second time together, and this time your bodyguard's not in the room. I can tell you, there's probably only one band you like more than Led Zeppelin. Am I right?
I would say it's a tie.
A tie?
It's a tie.
That's like 1A, and now I'm going to kick out 1B, and then we're going to talk about this band. You ready?
Yep.
Randy, I think this is your anthem, Unchained.
Love that song. Doesn't it bring you joy to listen to that?
It brings me joy to watch you listening to this song.
God, I love this song. I have a story about this one too.
Well, this is the moment. I want to hear why you chose this particular Van Halen song. Tell me your story. Tell me about Van Halen, and then I have someone on the live stream who has a message for you.
Oh, well, you have to go to YouTube, put in the words Van Halen 1981 Oakland Unchained, and you'll see this concert footage. And it starts with David Lee Roth jumping off a drum riser.
Well, he used to do those aerial splits.
Yeah. It was amazing. I mean, when I was a teenager, I was like, oh my God, I need to marry this man. It was amazing. But I saw them, they played in Ottawa in, I think it was 2012. The band got back together and they played around Canada.
When you say band, you mean David Lee Roth?
With Van Halen.
Right.
It was 2012. I couldn't find anyone to go with me in Toronto, but I found someone to go with me in Ottawa. It was the younger brother of a friend. We went to the concert. We were in nosebleeds. I was depressed listening to Kool and the Gang, which opened. And then someone tapped me on the shoulder when I went to the washroom and said, hey, I'm with the band. Do you want to come down and get seats like next to the stage? I thought he was joking. I thought maybe he was going.
This is what it's like to be an attractive young woman.
First of all, not young. I'll just put the record straight there. But I think it's because I was wearing my vintage Van Halen t-shirt. So I went with my friend and we were like 5 rows back from the stage.
This thing you're describing doesn't happen when dudes go to these shows alone. They don't have that moment. It's really this phenomenon of like, hey, come by the stage is an attractive woman thing.
I think what happened was when I got to the section with my friend, I looked around and I thought, a lot of these women look like truckers. So maybe they just wanted to mix it up, have like a wimpy woman in there. So that was what I did.
But they didn't know you knew your martial arts? Or what is that martial art that you know?
I know so many.
Really?
Yeah.
We're going to fight after this. Okay?
I'm really into
have a platonic fight.
I'm into kickboxing and I am wearing sneakers. So
Okay.
I'm ready.
Sneaker
but I'll
pimps.
tell you that they were playing the song Unchained on stage. And I was jumping up and down for, I don't know, 3 minutes, however long. I had to ice my knee the next day. Like, that's how much I enjoyed the song.
Wow. I won't ask any further questions about why you're icing your knees after that show. Okay.
I was jumping up and down.
Okay, so you say. East York John is on the live stream, live.torontomike.com, and I'm going to read it verbatim. Music recommendation for Randy's teenage self. Check out David Lee Roth's Coming Out of Retirement concert. It's online from last Saturday in Maryland. No jumping aerial splits anymore, but all the Diamond Dave entertainment value and his Van Halen hits.
Oh, that does appeal to me. I'm a huge Van Halen
and also,
and David Lee Roth
East
fan.
York John loved your concert story from seeing them in Ottawa. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was in
heaven. Want me to find out if East York John is available?
I can only have one situationship at a time.
I know, but I feel like it's on limited time here. I feel like it's only, you'll be letting me know. You just help with this. Let me know when you're single, and we'll see if any FOTMs want to meet you for a very public coffee, a little coffee.
I'll come back. I'll call. You'll get a text from me saying I'm heartbroken, and I'm ready. I'm ready to come on the show and talk about my heartbreak.
For you, does Van Halen have to have David Lee Roth on lead vocals?
Yes. I don't like Van Hagar. I'll tell you what, I went to see Van Halen in 2004 or 2006. I can't remember. And Sammy Hagar was fronting the band. He was singing these classic Van Halen songs in Bermuda shorts and sandals. I'm like, that's not the way you deliver Van Halen.
Did you ever see Gary Cherone at the helm?
I didn't see him in person, but I saw enough not to see him in person.
Am I missing anybody? Is there another lead singer?
I don't remember. There's so many, but let's face it, David Lee Roth is the best. I don't think anyone's going to argue with me there.
Again, I'm not a big Van Halen head either.
You're not? But what am I doing
I know.
What about Running with the Devil? It doesn't move you?
So there are early big songs. One of the biggest hockey anthems we have is Jump.
Yeah, Jump is like...
Because there's no guitar. You need
Jump is overrated.
There's no guitar in that, right?
There's a bit too much...
Is that too spoonish?
No.
Spoonsish? Sorry.
It's like the Bronski beat. No, it's
which Scotiabank has ruined, I think, the Bronski beat.
No, I don't really love Jump. Jump's a good song, but it's too poppy. You need to go with the first album. Atomic Punk,
right.
Ain't Talking About Love, Running with the Devil.
Hot for Teacher, I love.
Hot for Teacher's not bad. I know a lot of men love that video.
Absolutely. You know what? I love my visits from Randi Druzin. Is it Druzin? Am I saying it right?
It is. Until my situationship becomes a marriage, and then who knows what my name will be.
Is that the hope here?
No.
So, again, I kind of have an idea of your vintage and your state in life. Do you have any children?
No, but I have what I call a neph son, because my brother is a single dad. And so I'm helping him co-parenting, raising my nephew, which is why I coached the hockey team.
See, we learned a lot about you today. Yeah. Okay, but you're hoping... So if you did meet Mr. Right... You wouldn't settle down with Mr. Right? Like you don't want to be
Put it this way.
Living with a guy for the rest of your life?
I would like to be dating someone seriously, but living on my own. I don't want razor stubble in my bathroom sink. I'm used to not having it there, put it that way. And snoring's always a problem.
I don't snore, but I'm also unavailable, so our coffee will be platonic.
I'll accept that.
And that brings us to the end of our 1686th show. Did you have a good time?
I did. I had a really good time.
Can I shout out your books one more time?
Please do.
Between the Pipes, that's the first one, and then there's a sequel called Behind the Mask. And if you like hockey, if you love goaltenders, these are the books you got to buy. Randi wrote them. They're great. And hopefully Mr. Stolars is feeling okay. Hopefully he's Joe Cockering it and he's feeling all right. Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery. You got your beer? Yeah. Palma Pasta, don't leave without your lasagna. Maneras, you got your speaker?
I do.
Toronto Maple Leafs Baseball, you got your book?
I do.
And your Ridley Funeral Home measuring tape.
Yep.
And of course, go to recyclemyelectronics.ca. subscribe to Building Toronto's Skyline. And Nick Ioannis has a new podcast called Building Success. And I gotta say, I usually say tomorrow our guest is, but it's actually later today. This afternoon, Mino Versteeg from Colorado is gonna drop by before his hockey game. 3:30 on the live stream. See you all then. Go Leafs, go.